Hi everyone, how are you? I'm Fernando Hayashi, ambassador for S.I.N. I hold a master's and a doctorate in periodontics from FOU USP. I'm a postgraduate professor in implantology at FONIP in Sorocaba and São Paulo. I'm here to talk a little about the Epikut, which is a system that has been attracting a lot of attention in implantology because of its qualities. So what is the Epikut? The Epikut is a system that was developed for challenging situations where we need implant anchorage. Of course, it's versatile and can be used in other situations, but it's especially in the more complex cases that we'll see the greatest benefits of the Epikut system. It is an implant with aggressive threads and offers versatility in terms of connection. You can use either the cone Morse system or the external hexagon system, which will, cover a wide range of clinical solutions for us. It's important for us to consult the catalog so that we don't make basic mistakes when using the Epikut. So one of the most important things is that we know how to work with the type of bone where we're going to place our implant. For some types of bone, we need a certain type of drilling, and for others, a different type of drilling. So basically, if I need to place the implant in an area with low bone density, I'll use fewer drills for the osteotomy. And if I'm going to use this implant in denser bone, I'll need to do more drilling. And here in the catalog, it explains very clearly how we should do this. So in the catalog, it will say that, for example, to achieve immediate loading, the insertion torque needs to be above 45 Newton centimeters. So this is important. Why? Because if I'm placing the implant and it ends up with low insertion torque, my immediate loading could be at risk. In the literature, there are studies with lower insertion torque, where we were still able to do immediate loading just as we could also do with the Epikut. In fact, this insertion torque is more flexible when the implants are multiple, right? Like when we're going to do, for example, a prosthesis over multiple implants. But if we want to have the highest rate of accuracy and success, it's ideal that we place these immediate loads on implants with more than 45 Newton centimeters. We can't confuse insertion torque with stability. It's natural for us to use our ratchet or our motor as a tool to check if the implant is firm or not. But what that actually measures is how tightly the implant screw is going into the bone. So we keep torquing. What do these 45 Newton centimeters actually mean? It means that we're tightening, the implant is going in, and it's hard to place it at a difficulty level of 45 Newton centimeters. However, that's just torque. That doesn't necessarily mean stability. So what is stability? Let's suppose we're going to put a screw into a wall. I go there, make a very small hole with a shallow depth. The diameter of the hole is small, but my screw is wide and long. It's going to go in tightly, but it will only go in this much. So, in other words, it has high torque, but is it stable? If I hang from that screw, will it not fall out? Stability and torque are different, so we need to use good judgment when placing our implants and subjecting them to load. Another important factor is the patient. What precautions does the patient need to take when, for example, we choose immediate loading? The patient, in theory, if we are, for example, doing an immediate loading protocol, a fixed full prosthesis, and I want to opt for immediate loading, we would say that this patient is being subjected to functional immediate loading. No matter how careful they are, sooner or later they will chew and there will be function on those implants. Now, if I'm going to do immediate loading on a single tooth, for example, tooth 21 or 11, an upper central incisor, I can find a way so that when the patient bites, the prosthesis doesn't make contact, not even during excursive movements. I can use a provisional system. I place a provisional and the patient won't have contact in those situations. What contacts will they have? And then it's inevitable. The lip, the tongue. So we call this non-functional immediate loading. In partial cases, I can take this precaution because the teeth protect my implant, but in full arch cases, I won't have that option. So selecting the patient is very important. If the patient is a bruxist, ideally, we should avoid it. If they have bruxism, we'll try to avoid immediate loading. And if that's not possible, we have to provide some protection for these implants. Low insertion torques, in theory, also require a lot of caution when applying forces. For example, in a protocol, right, a full immediate loading case. If the distal implants, right, if we think this patient might have some problem with excessive force, we should reduce the cantilever, at least initially, or use a fixed provisional prosthesis, and after 6 months or 4 months, switch to a definitive protocol type prosthesis. We have to know how to handle this. All of this is not just a matter of science, but also of good judgment. With knowledge and good judgment, you will achieve good results. Another important tip, which I think is interesting for us to mention, is about the nano treatment that the implant can have, right? We can choose an implant with a nano surface or without a nano surface. And the nano surface has shown some advantages compared to implants without this nano surface. So we get faster osseointegration. It seems that patients with systemic issues will benefit from the nano surface. Yeah, the great thing about the Epikut is that you can achieve a lot of stability, and sometimes we go there, follow the catalog, and suddenly we don't reach the required torque. So what do I recommend? Let's use the concept of under preparation, which is a concept that fits very well with immediate loading, right? With osteodensification, for example. So we go there, make a hole, and try to place the implant. Wow, the implant still isn't going in passively, it's too tight. Then you increase the diameter. So you follow the catalog, but at the same time, you use your hand, your sensitivity, to know if that implant will reach the necessary torque. But here's another important tip about torque and stability, right? When we get a bone that's sometimes very hard or very brittle, very soft and brittle, so in these cases, well, obviously we can place the implant in either of these two situations. But sometimes you're trying to place the implant to create bone compression, and you don't realize that the bone might be cracking. This can happen. So you also have to be careful with implants that are too close to each other, where you're applying a lot of torque. I've seen this happen where the proximal bone breaks, and that can also cause problems for us. Torque is good, stability is great, but the bone can only handle so much. So we have to keep an eye on things so we don't exceed the bone's resistance. It's important to remember that S.I.N offers a lifetime warranty for implants and a 5-year warranty for components in case of manufacturing issues, defects, or any problem you might have during or after the installation of your implants and prostheses. For more information, don't forget to check out the lifetime warranty terms, which you can find on S.I.N's website. I hope you enjoyed this content and that it helps you achieve more success in your clinic. Don't forget to like, send in your questions, and subscribe to the channel.